Hi all, today we began to listen to a story about two friends who are enemies. Darren and Steve are two classmates with different personalities. One is an excellent student at school and other is a bully. Darren's family is proud of him and Steve lives with his mom who drinks alcohol. Also, they are very different from each other. They are still best friends. But then the villain of Secret appears who, with the help of the boys, to unleash a war between vampires and vampires. Let's go!
Audio Jungle.
Everyone loves Darren. He studies well and his parents are proud of him. But he has a minus. This is his best friend Steve. Steve wants to skip class again, to which Darren agreed. One of the roof Darren plays with a spider and Steve breaks the lanterns. Steve tells Darren to try throwing a stone too and he agrees again. From the first time Darren hits the lantern and breaks it. This was noticed by the teacher and Darren's parents found out about this, who scolded their son and said that it was all because of his friend Steve. They forbid them to communicate. The next day Steve wants to talk, but Darren explained that his parents don't want them to be friends. He offers to be friends secretly, but Steve begins to swear. There goes a very mysterious car. The man throws some pepper at the guy's feet. It was an innovation to the circus. Despite the prohibition of their parents, Darren and Steve went to the performance. Steve noticed a blood moon in the sky. They buy a ticket to the gnome and go to a gloomy house. At the entrance they were met by Mr. Tall, who led the guys to a place where almost everyone had already gathered. Mr. Tall begins the speech. A werewolf enters the scene. Mr. Tall ordered him to attack one of the people in the hall. The wolf bites off the girl's hand, but as is turned out, she is also one of the actors. Her ability is regeneration. Then a skeleton man comes out, a madam with big teeth and a big man who is always hungry. After that a boy performs with his snake. Then comes their Madame Truska, who needs one of the participants from the audience. She chooses Darren. They show the circus number, but then Madame saw a terrible vision about Darren. She tells her husband that she must angrily leave the city, but he didn't believe her. He takes the stage with her spider partner. Darren is characterized by this type of spider that kills with one bite. But then Steve notices that one of the actors is a vampire whom he saw in one of the magazines. A spider jumps off Darren, and then Crabsley comes to take the spider. And suddenly he told the guys that vampires don't exist. But then the police and the guy's school teacher come. They have decided to close the show. Everyone abruptly began to run away and the guys too. Darren finds the magician's room and decides to the open drawer. He wanted to look at the spider, but in the room he saw a large coffin. He looks at the spider, but then he hears someone's voice and puts the spider in his backpack and hides in the closet. He sees the actors who celebrated the success of the show. Then Steve enters the room so that the magician, who is a vampire, turns him into a vampire too. Crabsy decides to help the guy and test his blood for stability for circulation. But the vampire spits out blood and says that he can't become a vampire. The guy got angry and said that he would take revenge of him and leave. The vampire was left alone and decided to check the spider, but he was not there. Darwin understands that he will now be found and runs into a secret passage. He gets out and meets a stranger in the car. He said that he would help him leave and he agreed. The man recognizes Darren's name and rips his hair out of his head. He said that he would be able to find out the fate. He said that he would be able to find out the fate of the guy and drop him off near the house. The next day, Darren takes the spider to school with him. There he met Steve, who learned about the spider. Darren said that he saw Steve in the room and knows about his desire to become a vampire. Steve takes the cage to look at the spider, but he threw the cage. A lot of people comes to change. The spider is looking for a way out. The Steve decides to kill him, but Darren was able to stop him. And then the spider beats Steve and he falls. Darren drives to the site to meet with Crepsley for the antidote. The magician offers the guy to become an assistant vampire for him to carry out his tasks during the day. Because of his friend, the guy agrees and goes through the ceremony. After that, they drive to the hospital where Crepsley injects the antidote into Steve. But it turned out that this was not to the full price for saving Steve's life. Darren must say goodbye to his parents and fake his own death. His friend Steve comes to the funeral. The vampire digs up the guy from the grave, but then suddenly they are attacked by an assistant, Marlock, who came to pick up Darren, but Crepsley was able to protect him. They come to the circus. While Darren is looking around, the Crepsley told Mr. Toll about the attack. He asked for protection for the guy, to which the head of circus agreed, but only for a while. Steve is disappointed in life. He gets into fights and insults teachers. After school, on the edge of the roof, Steve completed dies, but then suddenly a man appeared. He said that his decided friends he did not die but took his place. The man knows about Steve's aspiration to become a vampire and said that it suits him. Darren gets to work. He cleans cages and collects flies for Spider. In his spare time, he trains his vampire abilities, and it starts with a fast run. One night, a mysterious man's car breaks in. He is joyfully greeted by shorties. He goes to Toll and Crepsley and they talk about Darren. He learns that the new vampire does not drink blood. Crepsley asks him why he needs this guy, but Mr. Toll said they wouldn't give up the guy. He told the shorty to watch the guy. The next day, Darren is back at work. He enters the dressing room where Rebecca, whom he has fallen in love with, walks. He does not understand why an ordinary girl should walk here, but she reveals her secret. It turns out she is a monkey girl who hides her tail. After such news, Darren talks to Crepsley. The vampire senses the attack and decides to take the guy to self-defense training. But since the guy doesn't drink blood, he can't even use his claws. Crepsley thinks action needs to be taken. Steve at this time undergoes a ceremony with the vampires. Crepsley told Darren how to drink blood properly. The vampire puts the man to sleep and tells Darren to drink blood, but he refuses. On the night, the people of the villain appear in the camp, but the circus performers were able to fight back. But Darren and Crepsley went to the shelter. In the afternoon, the guy finds out that the kidnappers are Rebecca and immediately goes in search. They conveyed a farewell to Crepsley. He arrived at the theater where Marlock appeared on the stage. At the moment, a bound Rebecca and her family appear. Steve appears on the scene and tells him to join the vampires. To do this, he must kill Rebecca to save his family, or he will die. Darren rushes at Steve but was to work because he did not drink blood. Then came Crepsley, who pound on the Marlock. The battle begins. Rebecca frees herself with her tail and asks Darren a drink of her blood. Darren agrees to drink blood and gets the power. Darren manages to save Crapsley. The vampire was able to pierce Marlock's heart. He says that the war is coming. Then a man comes out pleased with the battle that he himself played. He leaves and takes Stu with him. Crapsley and Darren return to the circus. Then a man comes to Crapsley's office, who says they urgently need to live with her guy. Do you think they will be able to remember the old friendship and reconcile? Thank you all for watching, subscribe to the channel and bye bye!